Welcome to the Taking the Charge video podcast. This time around, we are talking about the way too early power rankings for the FIBA U19 Basketball World Cup 2025. We know all 16 teams now. The FIBA U18 AfroBasket 2024 just finished off with Mali knocking off Cameroon for their third title on the continent. And they will be getting back to the U19 World Cup. Missed the 2023 edition, and so the Malians are back. Cameroon will be making their debut. And as we said, all 16 teams are set for the tournament from June 28 to July 6 in Lausanne, Switzerland. Should be a fun event, as always. And so figured, why not do power rankings way too far in advance, as I call it, the way too early power rankings. This, of course, is the video podcast accompanying the piece from the Taking the Charge Substack, which the link will be in the comments below. So go ahead and click on that and read some more words. So let's start it all off with Jordan. First time back at the Under-19 World Cup in quite some time, and can't imagine that they'll really give a lot of teams problems. They went through the Asian bracket and managed to grab fourth place, and so I imagine they will have problems in Switzerland. Let's go to number 15, and that will be Cameroon, debutante. Watching them at the Under-18 AfroBasket. Not a lot of firepower. Really rely on their defense with Amadou Saini in the middle, and just can't. I don't think they have the offensive weapons to really give a lot of teams problems. Number 14, we have Dominican Republic. Small team. Unless they go out and find some kids with some size, that will be a major problem. Mentioning that, this is, like I said, way too early, and some of these teams will move up and down, looking at the final rosters and whatnot. But as the teams are now, this is kind of where I have them. Dominican Republic, really feisty team, and a lot of energy. But I think the lack of size is going to give them a problem. At 13, the host Switzerland. Switzerland probably happy with this. Really kind of wanted to put them up a little higher, but just trying to figure out who they would be able to beat, and just figured, 13 is, it's the winner of the 13-16 bracket, so that gets them 2 wins to finish the tournament, which I think they can really be happy about. Dianassa, obviously one of their leading guys. People know him from his time with Barcelona, but it's not just him. They have quite a few talents. Almost all of the top guys playing outside of the country. So this is a good chance for them to bring in those players, bring them together, and kind of show the youth of Switzerland that the potential is there, and if they have the talent, that they can go places. At 12, I have China. I really like the combination of Boy Yanchan and the big guy Xian Nuan. But the question up for them, in my eyes, is the point guard, whether or not they have somebody that can kind of put everything together. Number 11, I have New Zealand. New Zealand have a couple of interesting guys. They were thrashed by Australia in the Under-18 Asia Cup final. And, this was an Australian team that was missing 2 of their main guys. And New Zealand, I think, will be strengthened by some of the leading guys that took the Tall Blacks to the semifinals of the Under-17 World Cup this past summer. Guys like Hayden Jones, Oscar Goodman, that group of players, I think they will strengthen the Kiwis in this tournament, so that's why I have them at 11. Number 10, Argentina. Kind of wanted to put them a little bit lower, but the duo of Felipe Mincer and Tyler Krupp was just too much for me to put lower, and I just imagine they will find a way to get in that 9 to 12 range, and I have them at 10. Number 9, you're wondering where's the second African team? Let's slot them in right here. Mali. People might be wondering Mali at 9th. Mali's a team that actually finished second in the world in 2019 with Omar Ballo. And so, they do have a little bit of history. They're going to be super excited to be back on the world stage. And they have that Spain-based trio of Traore players. Youssef Traore was the MVP. Amadou Traore from Real Madrid. It's just a real glue guy. Does all the small stuff. And I mentioned in the piece, I think the key to this team is Doumbouya, the point guard, just because African point guards have traditionally have problems, and he's going to be a big part of that success. There's a lot of athleticism, whether they can shoot or not. They're really great offensive rebounders, but really Doumbouya playing at the point is going to be key for them to have any success. Canada, I have at 8. They were pretty underwhelming at the U18 AmeriCup, even at the Under-17 World Cup. But I can imagine that they'll take some of those top players from the Under-17 World Cup, Paul Asarui, Sadler, Charles, those guys, and it's Canada, and Canada at the Under-19 World Cup always make the quarterfinals. So I have to have them in the top 8 because of that, and so I'll slot them in at 8. Number 7, Slovenia. I mentioned in the piece, Slovenia is a team you cannot underestimate. So I'm not underestimating them. Urban Kroflic, Vat Rabar, those two, just are so good, and they will find a way. They're vanilla ice cream, not sexy or anything like that, but they just get it done. And so I have them right there at number 7. Number 6 is the debutantes, Israel, and you might be thinking, what? Israel, number 6, and that is my, and I guess that's kind of my, I don't want to call it love affair, but that's my, I'm very impressed with Ben Saraf, and I think he will be even better. He was the MVP. He's kind of surprising MVP of the Under-18 Eurobasket, even though a couple of Germans definitely could have been in the number 1 spot as far as MVP. But he carried them. He carried them to the semifinals, and he'll only be better this year, next summer, because he's playing this season at Ratio Form Ulm, first level in Germany, very high level league, and he will be tested and really given a chance to develop, and that will really help him next year and next summer. That being said, there is a chance he might not play. If he's drafted, then he might not even play at the Under-19 World Cup, though I can imagine that he'd probably do everything in his power to actually play. So that remains to be seen. If he doesn't play, then Israel will crash down in the rankings. But it's not only them. Omar Meyer is probably one of the main keys. Besides him, they also have the big guy Karem, who has some development to do this year. But if he can really excel, then that would be a big boost for Israel. Number 5, I have Australia, and Australia is a team that if Rocco Sikorski plays, then I think have a legitimate medal chance. If I have them at 5, I have them losing in the quarterfinal game and then winning the final 2 games, basically. And, Sikorsky obviously would be a huge help, but, Australia is always good, always strong. Sulirepa, who didn't play at the Under-18 Asia Cup, I can imagine he will be playing in the Under-19 World Cup. They also have Dash Daniels. This is a team that's always a country that's always strong, and I can't imagine that they won't be in the quarterfinals, and so have them at number 5. Now come a run of more Europeans. Number 4, France. The thing with France is you don't know who's going to be there. Nolan Traore and Noah Essang both played at the Under-18 Eurobasket. Both of them are expected to be drafted in the 2025 NBA draft, which means they very likely won't play at the Under-19 World Cup. It's a country that has so much depth, and that they will have high-level guys. The question also remains, will it be only the 2006 generation, or will that also be 2007s and 2008s? 2007s, 2008, you'd then also have, guys like Soliman and Hugo Yimga. There's also Bolefa, Allard. So this is a team that will be very, very good. But the question is if the guys that, which guys might be missing and whether or not they're unbelievably good. So number 4, France. Number 3, Serbia. You look at those guys that they have, Dragic, they have Kostic, they have Bojnjatovic, they have Dimitrovic. It's just a loaded team. It's a country that, and I wrote in the piece that they will have at least 1 or 2 guys that, are sort of borderline guys right now, but will be, let's say, at least key role players on the team that, because of the development that goes on this season. It's a country that knows how to play big games, knows how to win big games, and so have them slotted in at number 3. Number 2, German fans are going to love me for this. Germany, number 2, the U18 European champions. As strange as that may sound, but 2 years in a row they reached the podium, and this is and a big group of those 2006 guys took Germany to both of those podium finishes. Guys like Christian Andersen, Jack Cahill, Ivan Karchenkov, Hannes Steinbach, Doris is there. Ryba's there. This is a team that has a lot of weapons. They can beat you in a lot of different ways. They can play quick. They can play slower. They can play big. They can play small. And a lot of guys can handle the ball. A lot of guys can play make with the ball. A lot of guys can shoot. A lot of guys. And again, like Serbia, there's going to be 1 or 2 guys this season that take a big step forward in the NBBL, the Under-19 league, and maybe the Pro B, Pro A in the second or third division in Germany, and will make it hard for the coaching staff to really figure out who to put together. Germany's starting to get an embarrassment of riches, kind of like the USA, the Frances, and whatnot. And so this is going to be a really, really good team, and I expect them to really challenge. And it's a country that a few years ago I was saying they need to lose big games in order to then win those big games, and them losing the semifinals of the Under-18 2 years ago and then winning the bronze, help them get over the hump and win the Under-18 championship. They also have 2 U20 bronzes in their trophy case. The Under-16 team, the core of that of this Under-19 team actually brought Germany back up to the Division A at the Under-16 level, which was massively important. So Germany have lost those big games, and now they're starting to win those big games. Under-18 European champions, huge deal. And so now it's back to the World Cup for the first time since 2017, with a little bit of you could say higher expectations. Pressure, none. Because as someone who lives in Germany, nobody will be watching the Under-19 World Cup next summer with the expectation that Germany will do anything. They will have no pressure, unlike your France's, your Serbia's, and USA, Canada. No pressure at all from the general public. In fact, probably most of the people in Germany will have no idea that they're playing at the Under-19 World Cup. So there's actually kind of a benefit for that, not having that pressure. Number one, USA. They're the record champions. Of course, they crashed down to fourth place at the Under-19 World Cup last summer, 2023, in Hungary, and the Under-19 group is always, as I mentioned in the Substack piece, the Under-19 group is always a difficult team for USA Basketball to piece together. The elite of the elite are going into the NBA draft, preparing for their freshman year at elite colleges, Duke, Kentucky, etc. And so the question always is who is going to be available for USA Basketball. And traditionally, the Under-19 team has had some of the key players from the previous year's Under-17 World Cup. So that means then guys like Cameron Boozer, AJ DeBunsa will probably Koa Pete will be available and could be leaders of the Under-19 World Cup team for USA. Kind of a benefit of the doubt. Whenever USA has a bad experience at the Under-19 level, USA Basketball kind of, clears house, not clears house, but sort of, shuffles things up and says, okay, we need to, get back in focus and whatnot. And I think this is going to be the case as well. And they'll really try to early on identify guys that they want to put into that core for next summer's Under-19 World Cup. With that in mind, usually they have a camp in October, if I'm not mistaken, and so kind of really keep an eye on who they invite with the Under-19 World Cup team in mind. Some of those guys, many of those guys will probably be coming from that first group, and they saying this is a team that we want to put together. Under-19 World Cup for USA Basketball is always a really, really tight thing. They start camp, I think, usually about 2 weeks or even fewer. Start training camp with basically tryouts. Usually 35 man, and then go 2-3 days, and then cut the first couple, dozen players or whatever, and then another round of cuts. So it's a really tight window that they have. But like I said, USA, I'm going to give them number one power rankings, though it's anybody's guess what the team will look like, unlike a team like Germany or Serbia, France, a little bit as well. So those are the power rankings. Power rankings always, I never really like doing power rankings, but figured, way too early. And let's put them in order. Let's figure out who's who and who might be, who might do what. The draw will come in a couple months, and then we'll have a better idea of what the roadmap looks like, who's going to be drawn against who can play who in the quarterfinals, et cetera, and stuff like that. So until then, obviously we have plenty of time, but figured let's put this together. So I hope you enjoyed this. Make your comments here in the comments below. Make comment on Twitter, comment on the Substack, and just let me know what your thoughts are. Obviously, put some thought into this, but as we say, way too early. So hope you enjoy this, and we'll catch you in the next podcast.